Hey viewers, welcome to another game of Casual Pro Gamer. Today we are doing another Noob Guide for Noobs episode and we are going to just pick a random dude. Chang'e? I don't think I did her yet. No, I'm pretty sure I didn't. We have seen her though. She always plays in the, well, as one of the bots in the arena matches, and one of the first things I did was an arena match with someone. But yeah, Chang'e is a support, well, range support that's actually, well, is magical. So, but yeah, it doesn't matter what she is because, well, the items will show up immediately, so you don't have to choose between that. So actives, the standard actives for supports, you can go Girl of Support, which is excellent. You can, of course, if you really want to, get one of the teleports, but it's not really common. Blink is also not really common. Sprint is not used at all, except by the bots. Then Purification Beats, definitely something you can go for, although on Chang'e you don't really need it. But it is good, so yeah, go for it if you want to. Hand of the Gods, not really used on Chang'e. And, well, unless she really is the only one that can pick up the fist to, well, jungle early game or something like that, but it's not really that common. Creep and Curse can be used, it's also not very common. Shell is more common, and then Eye of Providence, definitely a recommended item, as well as Aegis Amulet. So yeah, it's kind of the standard thing. Either you go for the support items like Girdle of Might and Creep and Curse, either one is fine. Or you go for the, well, I guess Eye of Providence is also a support item, or you go for the defensive items like Aegis Amulet and Purification Beads. So all in all, it's fairly simple to remember or to understand why that is. Then starter items, you have two starter items that are viable as a support, which is Mark of the Vanguard and Watcher's Gift. Both are fine. Depending on your playstyle mainly. This is if you're more of an aggressive player, this is more if you're more of a defensive player. Then Vampiric Shroud if you're in a solo lane, because you can actually solo in Conquest, so yeah, go for it. And Vampiric Shroud will help you just stay alive and, well, get your mana back on basic attacks. So items then. Your items, even though you are a support, are mainly found in the power tab. So your main items are, sorry, that's not the right one. This is the right one. Voidstone. That is the support Voidstone most of the time, but sometimes you can get away with just the focus Voidstone. Focus Voidstone, of course, gives you more magical penetration, but it doesn't give anything to your allies. So it depends on who you're playing with. But it's definitely, either one should be one of your first items. Then shoes, yeah, you want to go cooldown boots. The shoes of focus, there's no discussion there, it is just what you need. And then you need one more item. In a solo lane, you go for Do More, by the way. In a support lane, obviously not. You need one more cooldown item, mostly this is the Breastplate of Valor, because it gives you the exact amount of 25% which you need in addition to your boots, and the combination between those makes that you have a 40% cooldown reduction, which is the maximum. So Obsidian Shard, definitely a good late game item. Spear of the Magus can be used. It's not great on her, but it's definitely not bad. You have two very spammable skills. Well, one very spammable, one relatively spammable. That's your heal/damage thingy. And yeah, you can do very well with it. Polynomicon, definitely good. But keep in mind, you are supposed to be a support, so you're not really in the front of the fight all the time. But because you have a spammable skill here, your one, you can actually do very well with Polynomicon. So for the rest, Gem of Isolation comes to mind, and for the rest, yeah, I guess we have to look at like Wall of Absolution. Maybe if you're in trouble, get Bulwark of Hope. If you're in serious physical trouble, get Hide of the Nemean Lion. All of the rest is basically crap, except for Sovereignty. If there's no one picking up Sovereignty, you should pick up Sovereignty instead of, for example, Wall of Absolution or Hide of the Nemean Lion, not instead of Breastplate of Valor. That is an offensive item. You should see it on Chang'e as an offensive item. It's really important to get. So lifesteal, yeah, you don't need anything if one of your supports is in trouble, or one of your carries is in trouble, a magical carry, then go for this one, the Pythagorean's Piece. It's actually pretty decent. It's not bad. Then for penetration, we already saw the shoes. You're not going to get the shoes. So Obsidian Shard and Void Stone, those are your two main items. If you want, if the enemy team is really going for that heavy magic damage, magic protection build, then go for Spear of the Magus. Otherwise, just leave it. It's not that good. Yeah, you shouldn't build too many defensive items because you're really an offensive support. You do a lot of damage. You can stay alive pretty well even without the help of any defensive item. So don't go defensive items unless you have to. Same goes for aura items. Well, aura items are pretty decent, especially the Rod of Asclepius. It gives you a lot of magical power. It increases your heals, and you are a healer. So yeah, the rest of the aura items, we saw Voidstone, we saw Sovereignty. The rest is pretty much, yeah, not really worth it. Unless you are in specific situations, but that's always the case. Every item has its specific situation where it's useful. Then movement speed. Yeah, the only one that really comes to mind outside of the Rod of Asclepius is the Winged Wand. If there are a lot of slows on the enemy team, then yeah, just go Winged Wand. So it really gets you out of trouble when they have a lot of slows, not against stuns, obviously. So cooldown reduction, as I said, your best combination is Breastplate of Valor plus the Shoes of Focus. That combination will get you 40%. If you really don't want to go Breastplate of Valor because there's no physical in the game, then go Shoes of Focus with Chronos Pendant. It's a good combination as well, it just doesn't give you that defensive boost, but if you don't need it, hey, go for it, whatever. Then mana, yeah, you shouldn't really need too much mana. Doom Orb if you're in a solo lane, as I said. Polynomicon comes to mind, but you are going to get Breastplate of Valor, which gives you a whole lot of mana. It's 550 mana, which is more than your initial starting mana, so you double your mana basically once you get that item. Then Gem of Isolation is also a good item. Don't go for any of the heavy items like Book of Thought. It's not good on you. You don't need it. You can go back plenty of times. Of course, Divine Ruin here. It's always a situational item. So if there's a lot of healing on the enemy team, go for it. If the rest of your team needs that. But that is why you're a support item. You buy items based on what your team needs, not what you need. And that is the difference. Of course, if your team doesn't need anything, you can go for Rod of Tahuti. But if your team, well, is not winning completely, then support the guys that are not doing too well. Obviously, you are going to scale very well with power anyway, because you have that heal, and the heal scales with power. So getting power is kind of a defensive move. So MP5, yeah, outside of the Doom Orb, you don't really need anything here. Rod of Tahuti, yeah, you can get that, but that's for the power, of course. Wall of Absolution, yeah, that's for the physical protection. Doom Orb, as I said, that is for, you get that for the early game, for the MP5. And once you cannot hold the stacks, so you basically start dying a lot in the late game if you're too offensive. Just sell the Doom Orb, get something else. Get something either defensive if you need that, or get something offensive if you want that. But it all depends on your team. That is the main difference between a support and a carry. Not that a support is more valuable than a carry. No, a support buys items and plays according to how his team needs them to play. And there's a big difference in how you play the two. Carries are always the same. They're super boring if they're played right. So if your team is good, so playing carry is super boring. Supports, on the other hand, always need to do something else. Every game is different. You need to buy your items based on what your team needs. So if your team is not warding properly or needs more wards, then you have to go, to the actives, Eye of Providence. You get Eye of Providence level 3, and because of that, you cannot go for Purification Beads or for Aegis Amulet, one of the two. Because you only have 2 slots, and one of them is now filled with wards. You also need to buy normal wards if your team needs that. So you spend a lot of mana on, or not mana, a lot of gold on things that you personally don't need, but your team need. The same goes for all of these items that I actually recommended. So the support items, they're mostly in Aura. Voidstone, a Rod of Asclepius, those are not for you. Sovereignty, those are for your allies. Your allies are screwing it up, and that is why you need to help them, and that is what you do. That's why you're support. If you don't like that, you can also go full damage on this, well, on Chang'e, on this god. She is really good with full damage. It's just tell it to the people before you actually lock in your champion, because, or before they lock in, I should say, because they're going to be screwed otherwise. If you are going for a full damage build and you have no real supporty guy, then nobody is going to buy those super important items that help the team instead of help the champion therefore. Anyway, that's really all I have to say about it. She is awesomely good, but we will show that in the next video. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. GG.